Tom Clark's Main Event is a Boink Studios production. Follow us on Twitter at Boink Studios and check out our Facebook page where you can see all of our projects, past, present, and future. And now, on with the show.
This is Daddy's show. Step off.
Hey, hey, what is up? Welcome to the program, folks. Thank you for tuning in. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Tom Clark, and you are listening to Tom Clark's Main Event. This is episode number 73 of the podcast, and if you're joining us today for the very first time, we will bid you welcome. If you're coming back for a repeat visit, we say, hey, thanks for checking back in with us. And to all those involved, we will extend to you, as always, the customary laurel and a hearty handshake. Thanks for listening. Thanks for reading. Thanks for supporting. And hey, thanks for always being there, Doc. Episode number 73. It's good stuff. To answer your question, in case you didn't know, yes, I do all of that from memory, the entire introduction, every single time. And to answer your second question, yes, on occasion I've screwed it up. But you know, I've had 73 times to rehearse it, give or take. So I think by this time I've got it pretty well down pat. Hey, welcome to the show. Glad you're with us. Forgot that part. I like to be sure everyone's aware of how much we appreciate you guys subscribing and downloading. Our downloads are going up on every episode, so we do appreciate that. We're going to jump right into this today. If you're hearing all this background noise, and I'm sure that you are, this is actually sort of a mobile podcast. Mobile stationary podcast, perhaps. You guys out there, if you listen to our other two shows, one of them in particular, Tom Clark's 30-Minute Fun Show, and we hope that you are. That's the show featuring myself and my 8-year-old son, Wesley. That show, 9 times out of 10, is mobile. We're in the car and we're on the go. So today, I guess, is the main event is in honor of the 30-Minute Fun Show. It's cross-merchandising, people. We're trying to hype one program on another, so hopefully you'll go subscribe and download on Google Play, iTunes, and then, as with all of our podcasts and all of our content, folks, it's free of charge. We don't charge you a penny for any of the content, and we just want your views, and we just want your downloads. So go check us out, man, and thanks once again for being here with us today. So let's don't waste any more time, because this might be an abbreviated podcast. We're not sure yet. We'll see what happens. Again, this is episode number 73, and the main event this time is the WWE Superstar Shakeup. As you guys know by now, out of the blue, Vince McMahon a couple weeks ago decided to announce the Superstar Shakeup on Raw and SmackDown. And anything that we can do to forego the lottery balls and the spinner, like, at the bingo hall with the draft lottery and all that. Anything we can do to forego that little formality, I'm all for it. So thank goodness they didn't do that this time around. So it wasn't called a draft. It wasn't called a draft lottery. It wasn't called even an exchange of talent. It was just called Superstar Shakeup, which is not what nice way of saying, you guys stay in the locker room tonight and you can come out tomorrow night. Which basically I think is what we're talking about, yes. There's a few interesting moves, and by the way, just so you know, if you thought this was a 1-week event, that may or may not be the case. The way WWE.com has the list of talent that's moved back and forth, the way that they've worded the column in question, it sort of leads me to believe that maybe this will last beyond 1 week, which is very interesting. Don't know if I saw that coming. So there could be more moves on the horizon. We'll just have to wait and see. Stay tuned for that. So let's go ahead and get right down to this, and I'll give you my take on the guys and gals who have changed addresses in the past few days. Monday Night Raw picked up at the beginning of the show. The Miz and Maurice came out, dressed as John and Nikki Bella, the Bellas, not the Cenas, but the Bellas. So that was fun. I've got a few different things when it comes to Miz. I like the Miz a lot. I think that he is a tremendous heel. I can't call him underrated at this point because everyone kind of appreciates what he's doing. I have a hard time with the word underrated. I feel like the word is overused. I think it's used to the point of it being not really relevant anymore. So as far as it being as someone being underrated, I just don't know if I feel that anymore about the Miz, because again, everyone's talking to him, talking about him. Everyone kind of appreciates what he brings to the table. When you have a talent that's doing that, I just don't know if I can call that person underrated anymore. Just my take. I had a conversation not too long ago about who's the most underrated, this, that, and the other. And I forget the name that was mentioned, but I'm like, you can't really call him that anymore because, and maybe it was The Miz that the conversation was about, but you can't really say that anymore because I think everyone kind of appreciates him. He's underpaid more than likely and underutilized, I would say, to a large degree, but in terms of being underrated, I just don't know if I see that. But the Miz and Maurice are to Raw, and we all figured that John was going to take some time off due to obligations in Hollywood, TV shows, that kind of thing. I don't know if anyone sort of, figured out or anticipated John taking time off due to an engagement, but that's really what's happened, I suppose, as he's disappeared from WWE programming with his bride-to-be, Nikki Bella. So we'll wait and see what happens there. But the Miz and Maurice they're continuing to pursue this thing with John and Nikki. For whatever reason, the company is continuing on that track. To what end, I'm not sure. I don't know what the payoff is on that. I guess Miz continues to go that direction. I think it could be detrimental to him in the long run if he doesn't kind of move on, or if the company doesn't have him move on. They lost the match at WrestleMania, so I don't know where the payoff is now. Another match, maybe? I mean, I don't have any idea. Maybe he's out there one night and like after a month or so, John makes his comeback and he's like, I've had enough. This time you and me in a cage. I don't have any idea. But anyway, the Miz and Maurice kicked off Raw, so they are now part of the Red brand. They were interrupted in short order by the lunatic fringe Dean Ambrose. And Dean Ambrose is now part of Raw. I'm good with that. The minute that he showed up, you kind of knew that Kevin Owens was going to go to SmackDown. Not kind of knew, you did know. We all knew. And, of course, that is what happened. We'll get to that in a bit. The third shakeup, and as far as what's happened here, maybe not the third in that order, but Bray Wyatt. I don't know how many of us saw that coming, to be honest with you. Bray is now part of Monday Night Raw. And, yes, to answer your question, he has a House of Horrors match coming up with Randy Orton at WWE Payback. So we'll see what happens there. I think we all assume that either Randy's going to go over or Randy, and I assume it's for the championship, right? I don't know why in the world it wouldn't be. I mean, Bray should get his rematch, right? So, Bray's not going to get the title back, obviously, but it would be interesting if he did, wouldn't it? Because that would force sort of Brock to go to SmackDown. Which, Brock Lesnar versus Shinsuke Nakamura. Holy God in heaven. Sign me up for that, man. Sign me up for that. But, I'm not going to get off on Brock today. We can talk about that at a later time. We talked it to death, to be honest with you. But, Bray Wyatt, the Eater of Worlds. Bray's received some criticism lately. I've heard a couple different podcasts from a couple different guys, some of my colleagues who are kind of not hating on him as a talent, but just hating on the fact that he's not being used in the right way. That once again, Bray ends up the bridesmaid, not the bride. He did have the WWE Championship for a couple of months there, whatever it was, maybe a little bit longer, and ended up dropping it to Randy. Which, if Tom had been booking the show at WrestleMania, I still think I would have had Bray retain the title against Randy. That's just me talking, though. It doesn't mean anything. But, I just don't know if I saw Randy going over as it making a whole heck of a lot of sense. It made sense in terms of the storyline, which I guess is all that matters, because Randy had this real convoluted way to get revenge on Bray Wyatt, which, WWE tried to pull the wool over your eyes and keep you guessing, but we all knew what was going to happen the moment he joined the Wyatt family. So it's just one of those things. Just move past it. And I mean, Bray's not going to get the title back. I don't see it happening. The unfortunate part for Bray is that he's on Raw now, so that Universal title is not going to be his anytime soon. Universal title is not going to belong to anybody right now because Brock's not on the program. Once again, Brock Lesnar becomes the top title holder and he disappears. And, Brock works on a date-by-date booking as far as his appearances, and I get that. We all get that. We've gotten that for 4 years now, or whatever it's been since he's come back. But I don't know if I'm feeling it, to be honest with you. People were cheering when he beat Goldberg at Mania, which I thought was silly. And I say this for Goldberg, he was there. And would Goldberg have wrestled every week? No. Would he have wrestled at all? I don't have any idea, but I can tell you I feel pretty sure that he would have been there a little bit more than Brock is, which is none, since he won the championship belts. There you are. Alexa Bliss and Mickie James back to back, two of the ladies who have come to Monday Night Raw. It feels good not calling them divas anymore, I gotta admit. I'm pretty happy about that. So, makes me smile, if I'm being honest with you. So that was cool to see. They popped pretty well for Mickie, to be honest with you, but they really popped for Alexa Bliss because she interrupted the promo between Sasha Banks, the boss, and the current Raw Women's Champion, Bayley. The crowd is just getting too smart for its own good, and too, they're just too cynical and too smarmy. I mean, the WWE crowd at this point is basically a bunch of Seth Rollins as a heel. It's just that real smarmy, arrogant, cocky, sitting there with their arms folded. Okay, show off for me. Prove it to me. Prove to me that you want to be here and make me earn your, I'm going to make you earn my money, that kind of thing. I mean, I just don't know. That's a whole other podcast for a whole other time. But I will tell you for sure, I feel like the WWE, that a large part of this is on their shoulders, that they've caused it, that it's a lot of their responsibility. That when you spend every waking moment reminding everyone on the planet that all this is entertainment and not actual pro wrestling anymore, that you're going to foster the environment that they now are enduring. And I say endure because this is not what a pro wrestling crowd should be. And if any of you out there are participating in the nonsense that pro wrestling crowds are doing at live events, shame on you. Because I'm going to tell you right now, it's blossomed from more than just a handful of idiots to, an audience full of idiots. And it just depresses me and it just frustrates me and it makes me want to put people through tables. But I don't want to do that because that would put them over. Do you know what I'm saying? So don't want to do that. But I just get frustrated. And it's embarrassing at times to be a wrestling fan now. I don't get embarrassed because they're grown men in their underwear bouncing around. I don't get embarrassed because it's men pretending to kill each other. None of that has ever embarrassed me from the day I was a fan, to age 2 or 3 to right now. That's never embarrassed me. What does embarrass me is how people act in the crowd. And, the men and women actually in the ring, nothing but respect for them. But when it comes to the pro wrestling crowd, they can all take a flying leap for all I care, because I'm just sick of it. Here's why people turn the channel, folks. It's in my opinion, okay, the way I see it. I don't think people turn the channel because of what's going on in the ring. I think they turn the channel because of what's going on outside the ring. I think they just get sick of it. I think that what we're seeing is the herd mentality, and you get 1 or 2 like-minded individuals in a group, and that their negativity tends to infect the group like the plague, and it spreads from one person to the next. To the next thing you know, 2017, you have an entire crowd of people chanting and popping for Alexa Bliss when she's done nothing to receive a cheer at all, and hating on Sasha and Bayley, who have done nothing but get over as baby faces. And I think it's ridiculous and pathetic. And Sasha's got no business getting booed unless she turns heel, in my opinion. We won't go any more into that. How about that? So, Apollo and Kalisto are also, they were announced as being part of the program, as well as Heath Slater and Rhino. And Kurt Hawkins, who Big Show introduced him to Raw, or welcomed him to Raw, by giving him a weapon of mass destruction in the jaw, which everyone enjoyed. Nice little pop there for the Big Show. Thoughts? What are your opinions on the Raw shakeup? Happy with it? I would say that Dean was the highlight, next to maybe Bray. Miz and Maurice, just because they're entertaining, right? But what about the other news? What about the other events that happened on Monday Night Raw? What about your boy Roman Reigns getting destroyed by Braun Strowman? Let me just put it to you this way. A colleague of mine, Sarah Hirsch, recently we were chatting on Facebook, and she sent me a link to an interview that Roman did on Jericho's podcast, and what she said, there was no reason for him to turn heel because he is who he is, and there's no point in it, that all this, that, and the other, they can boo if they want to. And I'm like, I told her, I said, he's delusional. He is. Roman Reigns is delusional, okay? And here's the funny part. When guys like me, when gals and guys like me in my chosen profession of being a pro wrestling analyst / writer / podcaster / all the above / fan, when guys and gals like me put forth the opinion that that's silly and that he's delusional, here's the thing. You need to take it at face value. Don't look very deep into it because it's not meant to be any deeper than that. And here's why I say that, for this reason. At this point in time, I think that company has done so much damage to kayfabe. It's done so much damage to how things should be run in the business that you've got an entire generation of talents that have come up now drinking the Kool-Aid. Had they tried to run this 30 years ago with Jake the Snake Roberts, I think you would have had a different response. I think you would have had a different reaction. You would have had a different interview. Do you know what I mean? It's a much different animal now than it used to be. This is no longer pro wrestling. We all know that. Thanks to Vince McMahon, this is no longer pro wrestling. This is show business. It's always been show business, understand? But you didn't have the largest company in the world reminding you on a daily basis that it's show business. And the talents have fit into that and bought into that to the point where none of them care about kayfabe anymore. We all know that. Kayfabe is a distant, gone, dead memory. It's dead and cold in the ground, dude. Straight up. And it's not coming back. Unfortunately for us, it's never going to come back. So take it at face value. Take it for exactly what I meant. Roman Reigns is delusional if he believes this is the way it should be going. When the crowd turns, you got to turn the guy. Period. You need to turn the guy. That is Wrestling 101. That is Wrestling Psychology 101. They cheered Braun Strowman for rolling Roman Reigns, who, by the way, of course, it wasn't him on the stretcher, rolling him off the loading dock on Raw that night. They cheered for that and said, thank you, Strowman, for destroying Roman. Any other babyface in that spot, had that been Jericho, had that been Seth, had that been anyone but Roman, they would have been all over Strowman for that. They would have booed that. But, because they hate Roman, Roman should be heel, period. And he made the comment in the interview something about, what am I supposed to do, turn heel and become a chick magnet, become cool? No, doofus. You don't become cool because you turn heel. You turn heel because people hate you. Now, in 6 months, will they turn you back? Maybe. But you've got 6 months of getting over the hump, dude. This dude has no clue. And, this coming from me, who's not in WWE, who's not on the road and never at home and missing his family and dealing with the boys in the back and living the life of a pro wrestler and being one step away from paralysis. If you take a bump on your back the wrong way or you get dropped on your neck one good time, you're done. It's easy for me to sit back from a distance, for you to sit back from a distance, for any of us to sit back from a distance and criticize and speculate and fantasy book and armchair book this whole thing, the business at large and especially WWE. But I'm just giving you my take. That's my job, is to analyze, man. I'm paid to do it, so I'm doing it right now for you. Yeah, you're not getting charged for this. You see what I'm saying? I'm getting paid to do it, baby, but you're not getting charged for it. This is my take. When the crowd turns on a guy, it's time to turn him. Just like when the crowd decided Austin's supposed to be babyface, they turned Austin babyface. Don't tell me they didn't. Don't tell me they didn't at all, because they sure did. Because the minute Austin started working heels, that was the sure sign that WWE said, okay, all right, we're listening. We're going to turn him. I had a huge, colorful conversation. I don't want to say argument, because I only argue with people that deserve the time of day. This idiot did not deserve my time of day. It's been several years ago, where he was arguing with me that CM Punk had not turned heel. And this is when he did turn heel. Remember when he turned heel, and this idiot was arguing they didn't turn heel, and I said, he's working baby faces. Doesn't matter, he's not heel. Yes, he is. He essentially flipped off the crowd, told him he didn't need him. That's not heel. Like, what? There again, someone else who's been brainwashed by WWE. Let me just say this to you in all fairness, okay? If you have the opportunity, and here's the part of it that hopefully you guys know where I'm going with this, okay? If you did not grow up on the territories as I did, if you grew up only on WWE, let's say you are my age and you grew up with the territories and still in existence and riding high, but you chose only to watch WWE, or it was the only wrestling that you ever saw as a kid because it was only wrestling that was on your TV, or whatever the case may be. Do yourself a favor, go to the network and watch Worldwide Wrestling, World Championship Wrestling. I'm not talking about Eric Bischoff. I'm talking about the Saturday mornings on TBS, the Saturday evenings at 6:05 on TBS. Go back and watch that. Go back and YouTube some Worldwide Wrestling. Jim Crockett Promotion. Do yourself a favor. Notice I didn't say AWA. Some AWA is fine. As the AWA progressed, it got really, really bad. Okay, honestly, some horrible matches. And in its prime, it was well done, but toward the end, it was rough. But go check that out. Go check out World Class Championship Wrestling. Go check out some Smoky Mountain after that if you want to. And get a feel for what pro wrestling is supposed to be, because what you're seeing today is the evolution of show business. It's not the evolution of pro wrestling. And people want to call it that. People always say, well, pro wrestling has evolved to WWE. No, it hasn't. WWE was pro wrestling before they decided to display it and portray it as show business all the time. Show business first and foremost. So don't get sucked into that, man. Don't ever get sucked into that. Straight up. Don't let it happen to yourself, man. So again, if you're not familiar with that content from years ago in the business, go do yourself a favor. Go to the network, YouTube it, Google it, do whatever you have to do, whatever website that's got some video for you to look at. Read some old school interviews. Look at some old school shoot interviews. Do something with your time and educate yourself, because what you're seeing right now today is not pro wrestling. It's a variation of it. New Japan. New Japan has evolved to the point of, can you make the argument that New Japan is actually pro wrestling? I mean, I think you can to a certain extent. They try to sell it as something a lot stiffer. They try to sell it as a more, legitimate form of pro wrestling. They don't waste quite as much time talking, which is good, which is awesome. There's no Stephanie McMahon, which is even better. They don't have to have a heel authority figure like WWE is obsessed with, okay? But again, do yourself a favor, man. Check out some real, honest to God pro wrestling the way it was done back in the day, okay? And you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Try to open your mind a little bit, because that's the difference. There are certain things that should and shouldn't happen in the business, and people can sit there all day long, including WWE, and tell me that I'm not with it, that I don't understand. I'm part of your paying fan base. Yes, I understand. I'm not stupid. Okay, and that's the problem, is that I don't think that WWE considers its fan base stupid, but I do believe that they consider its fan base to be not with it, not hip. In other words, they're going to school you on what they want you to see and what you want to see, when the truth is you've got something entirely different in your mind of what you would like to be seeing right now, and it's two entirely different things most of the time. So, little side rant. Wasn't that fun? Let's move on, folks. Let's talk about the superstars that showed up on Tuesday night SmackDown Live. How about your boy Kevin Owens? WWE United States Champion is now part of SmackDown. Well, there's a stipulation of that. If he beats Chris Jericho in the return match from WrestleMania 33 at the upcoming WWE Payback event, then Kevin Owens becomes part of SmackDown Live. However, if he loses to Jericho, Jericho becomes part of SmackDown Live. So they added that little tidbit in there. I mean, it makes sense, I guess. They have not, however, to my knowledge, announced that stipulation for Orton and Wyatt for whatever reason. So we'll see what happens there. Stay tuned on that one. They just may. How is this move for Kevin? I think it's a lateral move. I don't think he loses anything. I don't know how much he gains. They're turning AJ babyface again, which we'll go ahead and get into that. The night after WrestleMania, or the 2 nights after WrestleMania 33, AJ interrupts Shane. They have a handshake, and then Shane kind of bucks at him, and AJ kind of bucks at Shane, and then Shane puts his fist up as if he's ready for a fight. Then AJ just gives him a smile like, okay, you're on your toes. I respect that. And then they kind of left it that way. So AJ's turning face again. So AJ versus Owens, even though we've seen it before. And AJ did win the number 1 contenders match to the WWE United States Championship. So he gets first crack at whoever the United States Champion is after Payback, whether it's Jericho or Owens. And it's going to be Owens. Owens is going to retain against Jericho. So we'll see what happens there. But, am I okay with AJ Styles no longer being WWE Champion? He'll get his time again. I would like to see him have the belt again by the fall, if not sooner. AJ Styles is an amazing plan B. Do you know what I'm saying? When your plan B is AJ Styles, brother, you got it made. Because either your plan A is amazingly strong, or you don't know what you're doing, and you got the wrong guy in the spot. Not that Orton's the wrong guy in the spot. Don't misunderstand me here. But again, when AJ Styles is your plan B, you must have a pretty deep roster. And a lot of guys probably would like to have seen him retain the championship. I mean, I get why he didn't in the first place. Retain the championship, but it is what it is. I enjoyed seeing Bray as champion. I wish he could have stayed champion. Do I want Randy in that spot now? I think we've all seen Randy Orton as WWE champion How many? This is his 13th championship. So we've seen that, been there, done that. Yes. I'm not going to hate on Randy. I like Randy. I like him personally as well. So I don't know. We'll see. But I think that we're definitely leading to KO. Well, I mean, we're definitely leading to KO versus AJ. So it's going to be an interesting dynamic this time. I mean, last time they feuded it, of course, AJ was face. It'll be the same thing this time. But KO's a born heel. I'm not saying he can't turn face at some point. He could, but I just don't see the point in it right now. Again, the crowd cheers for him. Here's the difference between him and Roman. Are you ready? You're calling me out, aren't you? I know, I get it. Here's my explanation, my analysis, if you will. Why don't you turn KO face, Tom? By your logic, fans are cheering him. Do what the crowd wants. Fans cheer him to a certain extent, but all he's got to do is say one cross word to them, and next thing you know, he's getting booed again. Roman, however, can say the nicest thing that's ever come out of his mouth to fans. They'll still hate him. See the difference? In the middle of getting booed out of the building, Roman could say, listen, I know you guys don't like me very much, but I appreciate you, and I love this job, and I love being here, so thank you for at least responding. You might get a smattering of applause, but they're not going to turn him face. They're not going to pop for him. It's not going to happen, man. Huge difference, man. Two entirely different things, man. Okay? So, huge difference there. So what else happened Raw to SmackDown? Charlotte, and Shane teased this pretty well, brought out Tamina first as the second-generation superstar whose father was arguably the best in the business, or one of the best, Jimmy Superfly Snuka. All right? But Charlotte, as well as Tamina, in the same segment, was introduced as part of the SmackDown roster. Jinder Mahal, Sin Cara are both part of the show now, as well as Sami Zayn, who we got a healthy dose of in the beginning when he interviewed, when he interfered in the Kevin Owens interview in the ring. That was kind of funny. Owens has that look like, my God, not you again. That was fun. Rusev and Lana. Lana, who that company has, I mean, you think you got the hots for Lana? WWE's got the biggest crush on Lana of any crush I've ever seen in my entire life. Trust me on that one. Trust me when I tell you that. Because it's downright silly. Lana contributes nothing. I said so on Twitter, and she saw it and blocked me. I didn't even tag her on the tweet. But she saw it, didn't appreciate it, and blocked me. So that's cool. It wasn't meant to be personal, but I hold true to that. Lana doesn't contribute anything. Had Brie Bella been Daniel Bryan's, sort of valet, I think she would have gotten involved. She would have contributed. Brie's a wrestler. Lana is not. Big difference. Miss Elizabeth, all due respect, and God rest her soul, did not contribute anything to Randy except stand there being beautiful. And that was it. She played the damsel in distress and barely did anything then. Okay? I'm just being honest here, guys. Don't hate on me too much. I'm just giving my solid opinion. No one compares to Sherry Martel when you're talking about a woman who contributed. She was a valuable part of the team. She added value to every man that she ever managed because she was amazing. And there's never been a talent like her, never been a woman like her in the business. Not before and not since. All due respect to every woman that came after her. Not before or since. So I'm a huge Sherry fan, and Lana doesn't compare at all. But it looks as though they may try to push Lana as a wrestler. Can't wait to see that train wreck, folks. Of course, I say that, and I've been wrong before. I was wrong about Candice Michelle. I hated on Candice Michelle. I did back in the day. I hated on that chick. But you know what? She got trained, and she got good. And she really won me over. The first time she came out, did that stupid little twirl, and she's half naked. And I'm like, I've seen naked women. What else you got? And that's all she had. And I'm like, I don't like you anymore. Get off my TV. I'm a wrestling fan, baby. That's what I am. If I'm watching wrestling on my TV and you're not part of the program, you're not adding value and contributing either as a wrestler, as a valet, as a manager, as a ring announcer, doing something relevant or legitimate, then I got no use for you. If you're just standing around taking up space, then I've got no use for you. And it's nothing personal. But, she won me over. She's straight up. But, so maybe Lana will do that. Maybe she'll win me over. Maybe she'll show up and be amazing. Who knows? The jury's out. I'm not one of those guys that is stuck on his opinion and refuses to ever change. And talk about evolution. I'm not one of those guys that ever, that refuses to evolve. Like I've had opinions before, and time has passed and things have happened, events have happened, things have changed, and I've been like, you know what, I'm going to reevaluate my opinion on this. So maybe I will in due time. Maybe it'll come eventually. Who knows? So I'm willing to leave the door open. You know what I mean? It's cool with me. Who else made some moves from Raw to SmackDown? The Shining Stars. From Raw to SmackDown. So I don't know if anyone cares about Epico and Primo. Here's the thing: very solid tag team, but they're goofy. They're goofball. They are a couple of Santino Morillas, except not as entertaining. And I don't know what kind of room that company has for guys like that in the long term. They're solid hands that can put over any babyface tag team they work, which I think, I don't think. I know they're sort of their lot in life. That's what they're supposed to be doing. That's their job, is to put over the babyface tag teams of WWE. And there's no shame in that, by the way, just so everyone's aware out there. There's no shame in putting over other guys. People look down on other people for that. They look down on wrestlers and say, oh, well, this guy's not the main event. He's not worth my time. Well, guys get to the main event by beating other guys. And the Shining Stars just happen to be a team that gets beat quite a bit. And does that mean I don't think they'll have a run? I didn't say that. Los Matadores was okay with a little dude dressed as the bull, But I don't know if they're ever going to go back to being that entertaining or being allowed to be that entertaining or whatever the case may be. I don't know how much they have in them. They're funny. They can be funny, but as far as what do they add to the program, I don't know. And again, it's nothing personal. It's all business, right? But as far as what they're bringing to the show, I don't really have any idea. Except for putting other teams over. Easy for me to say. But, that's just how I think about that. And again, I'm open. My door's open for something new, for something different, for me to change my opinion. Shining Stars could come out guns blazing and just tear it up and become the hottest tag team, not new tag team, but the hottest tag team in the company. Hey, I'm all for it. I got no problem with that at all. Talk about hottest tag team in the company. Flipping back to Raw real quick. How about the return of the Hardy Boys? Matt and Jeff, my God in heaven, blew it up. We talked about this on the last episode of the WrestleMania Rundown, which you should go listen to if you haven't yet, by the way. Just saying. But Matt Hardy doing sort of a mix of version 1 / original Young Hardy Boys / the broken Matt Hardy. I get the feeling that WWE came out on the wrong end of the TNA deal and just decided to tell Matt to just, cut it out with the broken stuff, just tease it, do the delete thing with your arm and let the crowd take over from there and do the ha-ha, that kind of thing. I don't know. I don't have an inside track on that for you, man. I don't know. But I'm guessing WWE's like, look, let's don't pick this hill to die on. Let's get you guys back. You can do a variation of the broken thing. Just don't go full out broken Matt Hardy, which is what people want. And by the way, don't get too wrapped up on this. Matt is still entertaining. He's still over. I believe he's still over more than Jeff is. And I think Jeff, in my opinion, from all appearances, what it seems to me, is that Jeff is perfectly fine with being the number 2 Hardy Boy. And that's not said disrespectfully either, because, man, Matt was number 2 for a long time. And that wasn't any disrespect to him either. That's just how fans viewed him, how we viewed him, how the internet wrestling writers viewed him and that kind of thing. It's just, and again, it was never written with disrespect. And it's not written with disrespect now to Jeff. It's just fact. Matt got over. Matt got over like gangbusters. He made something out of nothing. Chicken salad, right? You know what I'm talking about, too. But, yeah, good on them. So, who knows? Maybe the Shining Stars will surprise me. I'd be fine with that. I have no problem being wrong if it means something fun and entertaining happens on the show. I'm good with that. I have no problem with that at all. I'm wrong a lot. You are too. We all are. None of us can call this stuff. Unless you're backstage and working on WWE Creative, and even sometimes I dare say even they can't call it, depending on what the old man wants to do at the very end. So there you go. So, speaking of tag teams going to SmackDown, how about the New Day? Huh? The New Day going to SmackDown. Holy God. I'm good with that. Xavier's out. A situation where he had to be out, so they explained that away with the Revival. And by the way, speaking of tag teams, Dash and Dawson, on Monday Night Raw. Good for them. Happy for them. Worked with Dash Wilder up in HVW that used to run up in Hendersonville. A guy named Stephen Walters. Stephen the Fever Walters. Nice guy. The few times I got to be around him, nice guy. Good kid, good talent in the ring. And we all saw what's happened with him now, so congratulations. Dash Wilder and Scott Dawson both are prime examples of what happens when you get into the business and you work hard and you pay your dues and earn your stripes to get to where you want to go. So good on it for both of those guys. I'm very happy for them. But, yeah, new day to SmackDown. Again, I think it's a lateral move. I think the SmackDown Tag Team Championships against the Usos are a huge possibility. So I'm good with that. We'll see what happens there. American Alpha, in my opinion, is starting to struggle with fan reaction. American Alpha has one of those generic 1980s gimmicks that had you drop those two kids in 1981 WWE, they would have been over like Monster over. And I'm not talking about because they're big guys, because they're not big guys. But that, yeah, all right, high five, all right, yeah, that kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? Sort of the pretty boy, matching outfits, long wet hair. I mean, that's, sort of, you could even put them mid-80s, early 90s, and they would have gotten over like gangbusters. They got over in NXT. A lot of stuff gets over in NXT, and when it gets to the main roster, it doesn't get over that much. I mean, we've seen it before. So, who knows? But I think they just need a little bit of tweaking. I think that American Alpha needs to have the edge come out. They need to if they have an edge, and I'm sure they do, they need to sharpen it. And need to be a little bit more edgy, a little bit harder, a little bit more rough and tumble. And I think they'll be just fine. And if they manage to do those things, and everything should work out for the best. Two amazingly talented guys. Just such a solid, well-polished tag team. They've not been together that long, all things considered, but they're so well-polished and so cohesive a unit and just so good together. And, I love it. I love those guys, and I want to see them do well, and I want to see them continue to get over. But I just have a concern or two concerning their reaction from fans at this point. So it's kind of it's on the brain. You know what I'm saying? We talked about Charlotte coming into SmackDown. She's going to get the championship eventually. She will get it from Naomi, who is the SmackDown Women's Champion. And speaking of the women's division, real quick. They're really, really spotlighting Nia Jax on Raw. I think it's the wrong move, in my humble opinion. I don't think she's ready. I think she's too green, and I think that when you have someone that green, that sometimes the best move is to just give them the ball and see what they can do with it. I don't know if I see it working out. I think that she has the potential to be dangerous, not intentionally, but I think she's too big and she's too rough around the edges. Now, that's not to say that she can't become polished. It's not to say that she can't fit in. It's not to say that she won't be a big deal. But as at this moment right now, I have an issue with everything about her. She looks like she really wants to smile and be nice. And that's not what she's supposed to be. And that's not ever going to work for her unless they were to turn her face at a different time. But she's supposed to be the big, evil, mean, nasty heel. And they need to stick with that. And if they do, then maybe she'll be okay. But as far as her ring work, I have major concerns with it. So, that's just me talking. I'm not the only one saying it, to be honest with you. But I just don't know if I'm feeling it. I felt it more with Kong, because Kong had she had a career behind her, and she had paid her dues. And we all thought that Kong was going to be a major sensation in WWE, and talk about one of the biggest flaws of all time. The timing just wasn't right. It wasn't a good fit. And had Kong come along today in her prime, they wouldn't even need Nia Jax, because, Kong would have been, she would have had a roster full of women to feast upon, kind of like Brock Lesnar's done. And I say that with all due respect as well. So, I don't know if I'm feeling it with Nia Jax too much. How are we feeling about the shakeup? Again, this thing may not be over just yet, to be honest. And there could be a lot more to come, which is a very interesting prospect, to be honest with you. But I think there's possibility for that company to do some more things here. Reigns is out right now because they're selling the Braun Strowman thing, and probably because of other things that are happening with him. I would not be shocked after his match with Strowman at Payback if he showed up on SmackDown. Because here's the issue that I'm having right now, and we'll see what your take is on this. AJ is going to become the top babyface on SmackDown. You can argue and say Orton is right now, but the crowd, in my opinion, could be swayed at any point for him to turn heel again if they wanted him to. But, so that kind of leaves AJ as a top babyface. It's not going to be Owens, obviously. Dean's gone. So, who takes his place? Now, Roman Reigns is the guy they present as a top babyface. We all know the truth. We just talked about it earlier, but so you know how I feel about that. However, if you send him back to Raw, you got Finn Balor and you got Seth Rollins, two dynamic babyfaces, two guys who are unquestionably babyfaces. They both have an edge. Roman has an edge too, but people don't care about it. I'm just saying. But you have Seth and Finn both who are dynamic babyfaces, and everything they do is cheered. And they're unquestionably, you got those two guys. Now you got Dean with them. Think about that for a second. Who do you have on SmackDown? Who do you have? And you got Cena, but he's not ever there hardly anymore. So you got to think about that as well. I would not be surprised to see Roman go to SmackDown. And if he does, he's getting that championship in short order. Just my opinion. So I think there's room to maneuver for the company on both brands. I think there's things that can be done. I think that there's possibility to make this thing even more entertaining than it has been. WWE as a whole, and I haven't done anything in terms of, the state of WWE, that kind of thing. I could do that. I could do that podcast. If I'm not mistaken, I think in the archives I've done one before on the state of WWE. I could be wrong. There I have 72 episodes under the belt, folks, so there you go. But it's interesting to see what's going to happen. I'm all for it. Again, I'm all for it. If anything that causes Raw and SmackDown, either or, and hopefully both, to become more entertaining, I think that people can pretty much agree that SmackDown's a runaway hit between the two shows. I'm okay with that statement. I think it is. But, yeah, I would like to see good things happen for both programs because I like to be entertained. I mean, I know you do too. And that's what it's all about, folks, is having fun at the wrestling show, isn't it? Speaking of wrestling shows, as we're going to start taking this thing home here, but support your local promotions. Remember that all the guys and gals, not all of them now, but a good number of them right now, who have made it big, Seth, Finn, Daniel Bryan before them, these guys came up in the National Guard armories and Legion halls and the fairgrounds. So in the high school gym, support your local independent promotions, man, because you never know. The guy you're watching today could be in WWE tomorrow. It could happen. Anything can happen these days, man. Anything can happen in WWE. Anything can happen in pro wrestling, period. So go out and find yourself a good local promotion that's on its toes, doing the right kind of stuff, and give them your money and support them. That's what it's all about. We're going to tell you a little bit about who we are again before we split. Again, this has been Tom Clark's Main Event. We have two other podcasts that you can go check out, subscribe to on Google Play and iTunes as well. Tom Clark's 30-Minute Fun Show and Tom and Kyle's Comedy Action Hour. Both podcasts have recent episodes that are now available for consumption. Tom and Kyle's Comedy Action Hour, we recently got 9, 10, 11 up, so please go check them out. We had a blast doing them. It's one of the most favorite things, one of the most fun things I do in my week. And talking to my great friend, who is also co-owner of Boink Studios. You can find our production company on the Facebook as well as on the Twitter machine. Just go check out at Boink Studios, and there we are, baby. Drop us a line if you'd like to at boinkstudios@yahoo.com. Kyle Smith, as I said before, he's the artist, so all the artwork you see on the podcast, as well as the Boink Studios Facebook page, is done by Kyle. He's available for freelance artwork. If you've got something you like for him to tackle, have at it. Give us a call or, drop us an email. You can call us too, but I'm not going to give you our number. That's creepy. You might stalk us, and we don't really like stalkers unless you're hot. So if you're not hot, don't bother. But yeah, drop us a line at Yahoo, man, and we'll answer you for sure. If you like the music that you heard on the podcast, the guy doing the music for all three of our shows is Philip Goose Fender. Goose is also available for some freelance work. If you've got your own podcast, or you'd like to get a jingle, or you'd like to get some music for something, let us know, man. We'll hook you up. Like I said, dude, we try to be an all-purpose production company. Cover all things pro wrestling, comic books, pop culture, music, movies, TV, you name it, we do it. Damn, that's a mouthful. All right, man, we're getting out of here. Thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in. We appreciate your business, and we will see you again next time on Tom Clark's Main Event.